Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, text 28.
29.
Tvam sadatmanam. Oh, 29. Okay. Sarvabhutastam atmanam sarvabhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshana. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. Purport: a Krishna-conscious yogi is the perfect seer because he sees Krishna, the Supreme, situated in everyone's heart as the Super Soul, Paramatma, Ishvara, Sarva Bhutanam, Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. The Lord in his Paramatma feature is situated within both the heart of the dog and that of a Brahmana. The perfect yogi knows that the Lord is eternally transcendental and is not materially affected by his presence in either a dog or a Brahmana. Actually, that is why the yogis are able to go and sit alone in the forest. And how can they survive? I mean, it's so dark and all dangerous animals, reptiles, insects. Very, very dangerous. Anybody can attack you. You don't have firearms, nothing. But he is only because he understands. I mean, in advanced stage, he actually sees the Paramatma. But before that, yes, some idea about how Paramatma is there in every living entity's heart. So that Paramatma will control insects, animals, reptiles, everything. See, what a wonderful benefit of having knowledge and realization of Paramatma. Then the minute we understand that, then Krishna actually controls. Everything is just that. It's like the operation system is there, but you have to go and press the button, no? Then only it will start working. So Paramatma, Krishna is Paramatma is in our heart also, and he can work for us. But I mean, he's not working for us, rather, he can control everything for us. But we have to ask him, or rather be aware of him and understand, have faith. Yes, Krishna, you're everywhere, and I'm just thinking of you. You take care. So that requires some knowledge and surrender and realization. The perfect yogi knows that the Lord is eternally transcendental and is not materially affected by his presence in either a dog or a Brahmana. That is the supreme neutrality of the Lord. The individual soul is also situated in the individual heart, but he is not present in all hearts. That is the distinction between the individual soul and the super soul. One who is not factually in the practice of yoga cannot see so clearly, because only through yoga we elevate our consciousness to spiritual consciousness, and through that then we can understand gradually, when once that I am not God, that there is Paramatma and I am Atma. There's distinction. One who's not factually in the practice of yoga cannot see so clearly. A Krishna conscious person can see Krishna in the heart of both the believer and the non-believer. In the Smriti, this is confirmed as follows: Atatvacha Matravacha Atmahi Paramo Harihi. The Lord, being the source of all beings, is like the mother and the maintainer. As the mother is neutral to all different kinds of children, the supreme father or mother is also. Consequently, the super soul is always in every living being. So, a realized yogi can see the Paramatma. You know, once Prabhupada, I think it was in France, he was giving a class, and there they had made a very high Vyasasana for him. And some of, over there, there are these atheistic elements, leftist elements. They felt very envious. Why this man is sitting right on top like that, like a god? And so there were some people, who were asking very nasty questions and trying to put down Prabhupada. And then Madhudvish Prabhu had to calm them down and everything. And so this was the thing. And Prabhupada later said, don't make such big vyasas, especially in such places. And at the end, I mean, when Prabhupada was giving out the fruits, so the knife was also there, he was cutting the apple, and people went to him and he was giving. So there was one of these guys who really gave a hard time to Prabhupada. He came there and, so Prabhupada gave the knife to him. This, you want to kill me, you kill me. My God, imagine, how can you give the knife to such a person's hand? But that is Prabhupada, because he knew that Krishna is in the heart of that person also. So he will take care. But then he just told him, he was trying to win him over. Why you have so much animosity towards him? He was trying to win him over with his love. So that is the supreme neutrality of the Lord. One who is not factually in the practice of yoga cannot see so clearly. A Krishna conscious person can see Krishna in the heart of both the believer and the non believer. In the Smriti, this is confirmed as follows: Atatvacha Matritvacha Atma Hi Paramo Harihi. The Lord, being the source of life, is like the mother and the who who doesn't listen to her instructions, or who works against her and fights with her, whatever the child does, all that, still the mother is maintaining, and she is equal to all, neutral. Consequently, the super soul is always in every living being. Outwardly also, every living being situated in the energy of the Lord. As will be explained in the 7th chapter, the Lord has primarily two energies, the spiritual or superior, material or inferior. The living entity, although part of the superior energy, is conditioned by the inferior energy. The living entity is always in the Lord's energy. Every living being, sorry, is situated in Him in one way or another. So everything is Krishna's energy. Spiritual energy, it is our soul. The more that we realize that we are not this body, we're not material, and we are spiritual, then we are more in touch with the spiritual energy. And the more we think, I'm this body, and all what I see is only correct, it's only true, that also is Krishna's energy. We are in the material energy, and we will be controlled by the material laws of karma. But when we switch ourselves to spiritual energy, material laws will not apply. And that's why great yogis, they get these ashtasiddhis and all, even they can defy material laws. They can have very long lives. They can become lighter than the lightest and float and fly to all distant places. They can become heavier than the heaviest, or like that. So they are come out of the material energy and going, because they are more towards spiritual energy. Material energy doesn't work on them. And those who are thinking, identifying more with their body and mind, then very strictly the laws of karma and the laws of material laws act upon them. So in both ways, we are situated in Krishna's energy. The living entity, although this is our eternal position, part of the superior energy, is conditioned by the inferior energy. Living entity is always in the Lord's energy. Every living entity is situated in Him in one way or another. The yogi sees equally, because he sees that all living entities, although in different situations according to the results of fruitive work, in all circumstances remain the servants of God. While in the material energy, the living entity serves the material senses. And while in the spiritual energy, he serves the Supreme Lord directly. In either case, the living entity is the servant of God. This vision of equality is perfect in a person in Krishna consciousness, because the person in Krishna consciousness understand that, Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita that we are controlled by the three modes of material nature. We are thinking that I'm taking all decisions and this is what I like, and all this is controlled by the three modes, which is under the material energy. Maya Devi is controlling us, and she is the servant of Krishna. So indirectly, Krishna is controlling everything. Our every act, what we're doing, Krishna says, from me comes knowledge, forgetfulness, and memory. Everything is coming from him. So by serving the senses, also we are serving Krishna indirectly, because through him only all this is coming. What we're going to do in this life is already determined. Right? So that means we are completely controlled. The only independence that we have is, should I go this way into spiritual energy? I mean, to my actual, do I want that identity, or do I want to remain in my material identity? This choice, Krishna leaves it completely to us. He does not force us at all. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachame na pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I'm never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. A person in Krishna consciousness certainly sees Lord Krishna everywhere, and he sees everything in Krishna. Such a person may appear to see all separate manifestations of the material nature, but in each and every instance, he is conscious of Krishna, knowing that everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. Nothing can exist without Krishna, and Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the development of love of Krishna, a position transcendental even to material liberation. At this stage of Krishna consciousness, beyond self realization, the devotee becomes one with Krishna, in the sense that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee, and the devotee becomes full in loving Krishna. An intimate relationship between the Lord and the devotee then exists. In that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of Godhead ever out of sight of the devotee. To merge in Krishna is spiritual annihilation. A devotee takes no such risk. It is stated in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, Brahma Samhita 5.38. Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who's always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shamasundara, situated within the heart of the devotee. At this stage, Lord Krishna never disappears from the sight of the devotee, nor does the devotee ever lose sight of the Lord. In the case of a yogi who sees the Lord as Paramatma within the heart, the same applies. Such a yogi turns into a pure devotee and cannot bear to live for a moment without seeing the Lord within himself. So, this is what is the goal of yoga, to see Krishna everywhere and see everything resting in Krishna, and to always be situated in him. This is our original position. And look how we are in this material world. We are not even aware of his existence. We are happily thinking I'm all by myself and I'm making all decisions and I will make big plans to enjoy in this particular way. And Krishna indulges us also many times, and that's why we hold on to those fallacious, things, thoughts. And then Krishna only, when he's merciful and when he thinks we are ready, he is only trying to also give us lessons by which we learn. He is the one who gives us knowledge about himself. He's speaking in the Bhagavad Gita about himself. And so nothing can exist without Krishna. And Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. So this is how we are trying to understand. In the beginning, we are not aware that everything is controlled by Krishna. People don't know how Krishna is controlling. Where is he? We only know he is in the temple. Is he also outside? So many material activities are going on. Is Krishna aware of that? Is he there? Why does he allow bad things also to happen? People have all these doubts. So that is why we have to study about Krishna, follow his instructions, and then gradually Krishna reveals that, yes, I'm here. I'm only, in the hearts of everyone. I allow people, if a thief is planning how to rob a bank, now who gives him intelligence how to rob a bank? That is also Krishna as the Paramatma. He's only guiding him, go like this, and then, just see where which is the most vulnerable spot, and then how to uh, open the lock. All this intelligence also is given by Krishna. And Krishna is also warning the pious, or the person who has to protect himself, especially the devotee. Then Krishna also gives a warning: be careful, some noise you heard, na, that is, go and see what it is. So that also, but sometimes, we don't listen to that, right? We get some kind of premonition that something is about to happen, then we think, oh, it mustn't be anything, and then we go back. So then what happens? Then the thief is more successful. So that is why actually Paramatma is very active for everyone. For the person who owns, who's going to be robbed, also Krishna gives some indication. And the person who's going to, because that is Paramatma's job. The thief has done something. He's got the desire to do bad things. Then how will he get the intelligence to do that? That is also supplied by Krishna. Just imagine. And the person, and he's also protecting the others. So being a Paramatma is a very complicated job, because he has to, everything that is acting in this world is due to the inspiration by the Paramatma. So there are Asuric people also who's always trying to disturb others, and they get the Asuric brain and intelligence from Krishna. And Krishna is also motivating all the devotees, the pious people also, to act in a very good way. So it's very amazing, mind boggling. And so then when we see Krishna's every activity has got the sanction of Krishna, and his without his sanction, nothing works. So the more that we train ourselves to see, because if we are remembering Krishna, then you will see that things are working, all controlled by Krishna. It's like, who I never planned like that. Everything happening at the right time, the right place. Oh, how is this? It's all a miracle. I never did anything. You land up there, you meet the right people at the right time, and something clicks. How did this all happen? I never planned it. So that is when we have to become aware. Materialistic people call it, oh, I was just lucky. Maybe my stars were good today, something like that, they will say. But actually, the stars are also controlled by Krishna only, planetary systems. Yes, they also have a exercise their effect. But then ultimately, it's all controlled by Krishna. A Krishna conscious devotee is not thinking of planets and stars all the time. He's thinking about Krishna. Oh, and so because he is always meditating on Krishna, Krishna takes personally charge of a devotee's life, and he arranges things for the devotee beyond all material planets and all that. That is not so important. The main thing is sometimes Krishna may act contrary to what planets are, you know, indicating. So the devotee becomes one with Krishna in the sense that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee, and the devotee becomes full in loving Krishna. Because more, without loving Krishna, what happens? We feel incomplete. And that's why we're looking for something outside of ourselves always. Something more, not this, oh, something else, all the time, because we don't feel complete. And we really, everybody wants to feel complete, right? We don't want to feel incomplete, but we don't know how to complete ourselves. And that's why we think, okay, maybe I will get married, maybe I will do this, maybe if I have a friend, or maybe if I become very rich and everyone likes me and praises me, something we're looking for to feel complete. But we will feel complete only when we become, when we love Krishna. Then an intimate relationship between the Lord and the devotee then exists. In that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of Godhead ever out of sight of the devotee. So that is why in the spiritual world, there is no need of Paramatma. Here, we cannot see Krishna. He doesn't show us, but he is there with as the Paramatma inside our bodies. But there, we are always seeing Krishna. So there is no need of a separate feature like Paramatma. So the Paramatma feature is only in the material world. In the spiritual world, everybody is seeing Bhagavan directly. So I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who's always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. So that is the qualification required to see Krishna. He is here, but we are not able to see him because our love is not enough. He is seen in his eternal form of Shama Sundara, situated within the heart of the devotee. At this stage, Lord Krishna never disappears from the sight of the devotee, nor does the devotee ever lose sight of the Lord. In the case of a yogi who sees the Lord as Paramatma within the heart, same applies. Always is seeing Paramatma. He may be doing so many things, walking here, going there, doing so many different activities, but Paramatma, he's always aware of Paramatma. Krishna conscious devotee is always aware of Krishna. Prabhupada says, because they asked him, Prabhupada, um, how did you, when did you start thinking of Krishna? He said, there was no time in my life when I ever forgot Krishna. I was always aware of Krishna. Such a yogi turns into a pure devotee, and that is the yogi, Ashtanga yogi. He is not yet a pure devotee, but he also, from Paramatma realization, so he turns into a pure devotee and cannot bear to live for a moment without seeing the Lord within himself. Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam bhajati ekatvam astita sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the Super Soul, knowing that I and the Super Soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. Purport. A yogi who's practicing meditation on the Super Soul sees within himself the plenary portion of Krishna as Vishnu with four hands, holding conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower. This is for the Ashtanga yogi. We're seeing Vishnu in the with four arms and all this. The he's carrying the Shankh, Chakra, Gada, and Padma. The yogi should know that Vishnu is not different from Krishna. Krishna, in this form of super soul, is situated in everyone's heart. Furthermore, there is no difference between the innumerable super souls present in the innumerable hearts of the living entities. There is no Muslim super soul, there is no Christian super soul, and there is no Hindu super soul. Super soul Vishnu is in everyone's heart. Nor is there a difference between a Krishna conscious person, always engaged in the transcendental loving service of a Krishna, and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation on the super soul. The yogi in Krishna consciousness, even though he may be engaged in various activities while in material existence, remains always situated in Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.187 of Srila Rupa Goswami. Nikhilasva api avastashu jivan mukta sa uchyate. A devotee of the Lord, always acting in Krishna consciousness, is automatically liberated. In the Narada Pancharata, this is confirmed in this way. Dikkaladhi anavinchane Krishne cheto vidyacha tanmayo bhavati kshipram jivo brahmani yojayet. Concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, who's all-pervading and beyond time and space, one becomes absorbed in thinking of Krishna and then attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in yoga practice. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart makes the yogi faultless The Vedas, Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.21 confirm this inconceivable potency of the Lord in as follows. Ekopi san bahuda yo vabhati. Although the Lord is one, he is present in innumerable hearts as many. Similarly, in the Smriti Shastra, it is said, Eka eva paro Vishnu sarva vyapi na samshaya. Aishwaryad rupam ekam cha suryavad bahudeyate. Vishnu is one, and yet he is certainly all-pervading. By his inconceivable potency, in spite of his one form, he is present everywhere, as the sun appears in many places at once. So the sun is the best material analogy. Oh, the sun is one, but everyone thinks the sun is on top of my head only. And you have so many pots of water, you keep it there, and then every pot will have this reflection of the sun. How is that? So that's a very good analogy. That's how Paramatma is present in everyone's heart. Though he is one person only, there are not innumerable gods, only one God. And so that is so just by understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart makes the yogi faultless, because he's doing everything with Krishna's sanction, with Krishna's instructions. Once you're aware of Krishna, if he don't follow his instructions, Krishna will cover himself. He's not going to expose himself to someone who doesn't want to follow him. So if a yogi is always seeing Krishna, that means he's always ready to do whatever Krishna wants. And so then naturally he'll become faultless. So that is how the Lord is present everywhere, the Vishnu form. That is the Paramatma form. Okay. I stop here today because I have to work. But anyway, one question, if anyone has.
Mataji,